So 2025 ended up being a pretty mixed bag for most things. My life was filled with car problems and stagnation in both weight loss and finances. The world was filled with fascism and political violence and a surprising amount of plane crashes. And it was also one of the worst pop music years I've ever lived through. Seriously, if it weren't for K-pop demon hunters, I may have said it was the worst. But one way 2025 was actually great was movies. I would say this is my favorite movie year since 2021. Pretty much every movie I was looking forward to met my expectations or at least came close. I got some surprises and I saw more than I have the last few years. Of course, when the good movies are this good, it makes the bad ones seem that much worse. And these ones annoy me so much that I'm not even putting in my contacts for this video. We're going old school. Before we get to the list, I have 3 dishonorable mentions that I personally didn't like, but critics and/or audiences seem to enjoy them. First up, Death of a Unicorn, a mediocre monster movie with annoying social commentary. Then a Minecraft movie, which is barely a movie and more of a meme, not even a great meme. And finally, The Monkey, a horror comedy where I wasn't scared and I barely laughed, and no one talks right. But I can at least see why some people would like those, so let's get into the actual list. We're counting down. 'Cause I'm too messy. The top 5 worst movies of 2025. Number 5. Now, some of you may be thinking this should be higher, if not number 1, and objectively maybe, but I'm sorry, this movie was too goddamn funny. In fact, being honest, I would watch this movie 5 times in a row before I ever watched The Monkey again. I swear this movie is comedically edited. I laugh so hard at points that I don't think were supposed to be funny. But I can't be sure because a comedy would film and edit them the same way. The actors act like they're in a comedy sketch of a disaster movie and the plot is bullshit. First off, this movie has no right calling itself War of the Worlds. Yeah, they have tripods that shoot heat rays, but that's it. When you find out the reason they're invading, I said out loud, No, that can't be the reason. And spoiler alert, the aliens are not taken down by bacteria, but after the movie was over, I realized, oh, they were taken down by another virus. Smart. The special effects are straight out of a Sci-Fi Channel original movie. This is a film released on a streaming service of one of the most profitable companies on Earth, and it looks like shit. And the whole screen horror gimmick feels more like a hindrance to the story they are trying to tell. I actually kinda like the idea of an alien invasion movie using the screen horror thing, and also a spy espionage movie told from the perspective of someone's computer in the government. But putting them together makes it jumbled. I know people complained about product placement, but honestly that's not even the top 10 things wrong with this movie. Hell, they kinda make the products seem like crap because they are very easily hackable. This movie does not know how technology works. Ice Cube's character is a douchebag who spies on his kids, hacks into their fridges and Fitbits, and I have no idea whose side this movie is on. It says that the government spying on its citizens is bad, but it was only in doing that he was able to save his family and friends. This movie seems to be against big government spying on us, but has no problem with big corporations doing it like Tesla, Google, and of course Amazon. This was a disaster, but I would watch it over 24 mediocre movies that may have been more well made, but were far more boring. This was never boring. Plus, I'll give it credit for some decent editing and a quick pace. Honestly, it feels like the people who made it were really trying to make something exciting. I actually recommend watching this one. Yeah, it's a terrible movie, but damn, I had a blast. I get the job done. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do. You're welcome. 'Cause I'm too messy, and then I'm too fucking clean. Number 4. You know, I noticed in most of my worst of the year lists, I rarely have a movie that was released past August and never have had one released past October. So to have one released in mid-November is kind of rare for me.
God, he's embarrassing himself, flirting like that. The kids are watching.
Well, I mean, I think he's trying to make himself feel better about losing the best thing he ever had.
I like you.
I can enjoy a cheesy Christmas rom-com, sometimes having fun with how cliche and pandering they are, and sometimes I think they're legitimately good. This one just annoyed me. Even going expecting the bare minimum, I found this almost unbearable. This is a surprisingly mean and unpleasant movie. Almost every character sucks. The main character, Kate, is a whiner and selfish. She wants all the attention, for her kids to return clothes their dad bought them, and plans to move away and sell the house without telling the others. And yeah, she's supposed to learn and grow over the movie, but not only do I not believe her growth, Alicia Silverstone's performance is hammy in a movie that doesn't support it. Everett, the ex-husband, is kind of emotionally cheating on his new girlfriend. The new girlfriend, Tess, played by Jamila Jamil, is a pretentious twit who does have reasons for being upset, but she gets mad at the dumbest things. The two kids are pricks. Sure, I could sympathize with them being older and wanting independence, but they seem to actively not want to do anything their mom wants to do, even when it's completely reasonable. Also, who the hell gets their Christmas tree on December 20th? This movie was just straight up unpleasant. The only character I kinda liked was Nigel, and sort of spoilers, but the resolution, the point where the families start to grow and reconcile, is so forced and out of nowhere. It felt like there were like 3 scenes missing. It doesn't even feel that Christmassy. Sure, it has snow and decorations, but it feels manufactured, like an imitation of regular Christmas rom-coms. There are a few jokes that got a chuckle, and again, I liked Nigel, despite the movie making him seem he's the odd one despite being the most normal. It's a bad Christmas movie that just made me feel down, and that's one of the worst things a holiday movie can do. Number 3. So over this year, I've been watching panned movies released since 2012 to prepare myself for my 15th anniversary video in 2027. And in doing that, I watched the 3 films in the 2014 panned Cameron Diaz trilogy. 3 movies that got so much hate that Diaz would take a break from acting and wouldn't return until this year. With a movie worse than all 3 of those. I am sick to death of the mediocre Netflix movie. Of course, there are a lot of mediocre Netflix movies, but I'm talking about a specific type. The ones that have a great premise, a good cast, and then end up giving us something dull and mediocre. Stuff like Time Cut from last year, or Family Switch, or Day Shift, or Stowaway. Back in Action is worse than those movies, but it fits into the genre of movie that has a fun idea, a movie about 2 retired spies who are pulled back in with their kids, a good cast like Diaz, Jamie Foxx, and Glenn Close, and yet gives us one of the most underwhelming movies of the year. I like this idea. It could be a more adult version of something I grew up with like Spy Kids or Agent Cody Banks, except they took out any charm. This movie is boring. The action scenes are god-awful and the special effects look like they're out of the early 2000s. And I don't think I laughed once. It's not a good spy movie because it's cliche and predictable. It's not a good romance movie because Fox and Diaz don't have much chemistry. It's not a good family movie because the 2 kids aren't interesting. It's just dull. And I may have been able to overlook all of that and just put it in the mediocre category, but then I saw that this movie cost over $200 million. How? I mean, I know how. The cast and locations ballooned the budget because most of that money certainly didn't go to the cinematography and special effects. Take out some of the expensive locations, this looks like a direct-to-video movie from 2007. This deserved all the hate that The Electric State got. That movie wasn't great, but I at least saw the money on the screen. This was the biggest waste of money in Netflix's catalog, and it doesn't even have the courtesy of being memorably awful.
Thank you for the love you bouquet. 'Cause I'm too messy, and then I'm too fucking clean.
Number 2. Hey you, random left-leaning person. Why yes sir, what is it? You know how you hate rich people like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Mark Zuckerberg? Yes I do. I do not care for them one bit. Well, good news. I have made a movie where you get to be around those people for 2 solid hours. That sounds terrible. But I also got really good actors, so instead of just being boring like the men themselves, they're ungodly annoying. That sounds worse. Ah, don't worry. It's actually a satire on wealthy men. I even threw in some stuff about toxic masculinity in there, just as a treat. Oh well, if that's the case, then great. After all, it doesn't matter if it's good, as long as I agree with it.
And we're sure we'd be better at running the world, because, Randall, I do think you're boiling an egg with no water.
I have other concerns right now, Jeff. Marcus Aurelius never had to boil his own egg.
I am sick of these movies. Or more specifically, I'm sick of this specific version of these movies. I'm sure you all know the eat the rich genre that's been around the past decade. Stuff like Parasite, Us, The Menu, and the Knives Out movies. Those are the good ones, but there's a specific kind of eat the rich movie that takes my least favorite part of the Knives Out movies and makes it the whole movie. The part that makes the rich people so one-dimensional that I begin to hate them, but in the wrong way. I don't want these people to get their comeuppance. I want them to go away because they're obnoxious. And that kind of writing gives us movies like Ready or Not, Triangle of Sadness, and this shit. All four of these guys annoyed me in the worst ways. Their mannerisms, how they talked, the dialogue. They use words like galaxy brain and sigma. You know, the things you only hear online. I don't care if I'm supposed to hate these people, I still wanted to shut the movie off. But it's satire. It's shitty satire. Here's the level of commentary we get. These annoying, rich-ass white dudes are in a secluded place and occasionally they'll look at their phones or TV and some horrible atrocity is happening and they just brush it off. And then somehow, a murder attempt happens. It brings up all the buzzwords, AI, crypto, deepfakes, transhumanism, and I'm sure it's trying to say something about toxic masculinity, but I couldn't even care. Just a note to everyone, toxic masculinity is not just men being douchebags. It is well acted, it is well shot. I'm sure Secession, which the director also created, is a much better version of this. But this movie seems like it's made for the worst kind of leftist. If you like YouTubers like The Cavernacle, or any of the other mediocre left-wingers who think being smug is more important than being entertaining, then you might like this. But for me, this is the most overrated movie of the decade so far.
Can't lose you again, not again, not again, not again. 'Cause I'm too messy, and then I'm too fucking clean.
Number 1. You know, I only saw the trailer for this movie once in front of Bloodlines, if you can believe it, and I thought that looked terrible. And a few months later, I put a poll on Twitter asking my followers to pick a Pan 2025 movie for me to watch, this or The Weeknd's movie Hurry Up Tomorrow, and they picked this, and it is so much worse than I thought it would be.
I still don't have a thing. And a quick follow-up to the follow-up. Don't you think that that's a bit odd? Like, Hefty Smurf is hefty.
I smash things.
Alright, I don't know much about the Smurfs. I've seen the 2 live-action ones with Katy Perry while drunk. Don't remember them being good, but they were watchable. I saw the 2017 fully animated one with Demi Lovato, also while drunk, and it was okay. Now we have this mostly animated, but also with live action, even though Gargamel, his brother, and the assistant were all animated, which brings up questions that as Rihanna and I watched sober, and it was terrible. It's actually kind of hard to describe, but it feels like 3 or 4 movies all mashed together. It starts with a magic book with a face, then James Corden Smurf not knowing what his purpose is, then he gets magic and an evil wizard shows up. It's also about Papa and his brother and Smurfette dealing with how she was made, and there are also other tribes of Smurfs. Honestly, this movie feels like it's trying to do everything the other 3 movies did. And most of the other Smurfs are pointless. Hefty, grouchy, brainy, they barely have anything to do with this movie. This has a surprisingly big cast, yet they don't do much with them. Jimmy Kimmel, Kurt Russell, Nick Offerman, Octavia Spencer, Nick Kroll. Hell, there's a turtle who just shows up, starts on the mission, gets left behind in Paris, and then shows up at the end, played by Marshmallow. The style is inconsistent, the animation is alright, but certainly not up to the level of other theatrical animated movies from this year. The ending is a deus ex machina, the pacing is so bad that I thought we were nearing the end, and so we weren't even halfway. Don't worry, this is one of those movies with like 15-minute end credits.
And the comedy is awful. I got one small chuckle. One. This also fits into a genre that's been growing the past 10 years of animated reboots to live action adaptations that got bad reviews, and so they try and make it better, mostly by taking out any personality and make it generic. You know, movies like 2018 Grinch, Scoob, that Marmaduke movie, or the Garfield movie. This is worse than most of those. The only one that could be worse is Marmaduke, but it fits in that category. The only things I can really say were good was one cool scene where they go into different dimensions, and I like the music. And yeah, this feels like a movie that was made to promote a soundtrack, and the songs themselves barely fit with the movie.
And that's it. See y'all tomorrow for the best of the year. Bye.
Tears run down both sides.